Okay. Sound of speed.
Right, just go. This ain't real. This is just.
This is just
off
das cuff.
Or off the record, whatever the fuck this show's called. I'm in. You can hear me now. Look at this. Look at these cushions. Casual.
After hours with a beer.
Yeah. Oh, look, we're casual. Having a nice beer.
Yeah. So, preying on the Predator. The Predator franchise.
Predator. Yeah.
Which I hate calling it, actually, franchise, because I think therein lies the problem, really, from the get-go. Is it's like it's not fucking. It was never supposed to be. It was an action jaunt with a sci-fi bent, or sci-fi villain, and that him, Kevin.
Oh, his foot's gone. Kevin,
Kevin,
Kevin, what are you doing, Kevin? There you go. Oh, stop! I want to kill you for sport. It's just fun. It's just Kevin.
Yeah, I mean that was.
Well, look, it worked well. It worked truly well once.
It's the same thing I've said about Alien as well. It's that thing of look, it's clever production design that appeared. You know, if you're in any way a competent, responsible production or monster designer like Stan Winston, you make sure that your monster has internal logic. So you ask lots of questions of the design and you answer them. It doesn't mean the audience has to know where he got his fucking net tights from. Yeah, exactly. Right? It doesn't have to have any of that. It's just, do you have an answer for it? Because if you do, then it makes sense. It's
visual storytelling in its design.
Absolutely.
That's it.
But the trouble is, once you make that the focus of your subsequent movies, it all falls apart. Like explaining where the Predator got his fucking loincloth is not interesting.
This little codpiece.
Yeah, it's like that's not the point.
Well, I do kind of think as well because this is like the original. This is the Jungle Hunter. I don't think subsequent ones have ever been that good design-wise. I don't like the Predator 2 one, and I think the ones that stick closest to that design are the best.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind the Predator 2 one. The trouble I have is when they go back to the well of the Jungle Hunter. It's like. But that was that guy. I mean, I always thought that.
They should be individuals, right? Because it's the sum of all the things they've collected and they've done.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. This is really. I wouldn't normally address the camera in one of these shows because it's supposed to be a nice, relaxed talk. But here's the thing. Some people say that we talk about Predator too much. You're right. I agree with that. And the thing is, here's the thing. We're a small channel that's kind of trying to get a bit of uptick. Predator stuff gets us clicks, right? In naked cynicism. Duncan and I have discussed a lot recently that we're kind of fed up with videos of people just talking about Predator. Like, the first Predator is more than good. It's a great, great film. What's kind of happening, it seemed, you would think it was the only film ever fucking made, the way people go on about it. Yeah. And there are so many fucking videos where it's just some geezer basically reading out the Wikipedia entry with a montage of shit from Google image search going, well, on the Outer Prime, which was primarily a jungle planet, and then calling it analysis, and it's not really that. Hey, look, that gets those people clicks, and they're more successful channels than ours. Predator is a great film, we're not saying that, but it's just, there's this, I don't know why, but there's this kind of cultural obsession with it. And
it's become one of the poster child films for the 80s. And that I suppose it has the 80s action aesthetic in a way, but it's set in a jungle. You know, there's not much about it that tells you the fashion isn't exactly...
It's timeless in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, you can, if you really want to dig down into it, you can look at the kind of political context of it, because it's, Val Verde.
Yeah, very true.
But in terms of like sending wet work teams into South America, it feels like a kind of 80s type affair. Yeah. And the weapons they're using, kind of 80s weapons. Like, no one in the world carries around a minigun like a fucking Ghostbuster backpack, but that was done. Yeah. Apart from that, it feels quite. It's quite grounded, and this is the thing. Up to a point, if nobody told you what it was, up to a point, you wouldn't. Yeah. Doesn't follow that it's an alien. I think after the end of the kind of first act, it's like, well, something supernatural extras going on.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, I just think it's not a film that lends itself to sequel or to our franchise, and that's what I think the trouble has always been calling it a franchise. It's like, and then obviously you get the crossover stuff of Alien versus Predator, but that to me felt like the aliens crossing into the Predator universe and not the other way around. And I always thought it would work with the Predators being in the Alien universe and not.
That's what that initial video game did.
Yeah.
It's all colonial marines and stuff.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. I mean, if you're going to do that. I think the Alien, as trashy as the concept seems, and it always annoyed me that people just go, well, that's trashy, but the two creatures are under the ownership of the same studio, and they work really well together. It's ultimate hunter, ultimate prey, right?
Yeah.
I get that. It kind of works. So, I mean, they haven't pulled it off particularly well, and there's lots of ancillary media. I'm just, again, it's like this singular thing. We talked about Blade Runner in terms of something that you have to love. Now, I do love Predator. The only thing that's subtracting from my love of Predator is fucking people endlessly talking about it on the internet.
It's and also the fact that
Hypocrisy noted.
Yeah. I mean, I think what works. I think what's frustrating about it, and what all the sequels and all that stuff, is brought up, is that people actually don't get it. For all the love and all the, the fan wanking that goes on, do people really get it? Do people really understand what made it great? Because actually, I don't think they do. I mean, to focus on what the Predator, where he got his fucking mask from or whatever, is not the point, and it's not interesting, and it's not, I know you love to unpack it. I think that's the thing, is because it's such a great design, and it's so sparingly, wonderfully used, and Kevin Peter Hall's so great at just putting a performance behind it. But the trouble, it just invites this idea of like, oh, let's explore it more. It's like, why? It's a hunter that has its own set of rules, and it clearly has a backstory that's been well thought out by the creators. But that isn't the point. That's not the interesting thing.
It's a classic example of a one and done.
Yeah.
That did well, and then there was a need to extend.
And this is why I make my case for, I think the second film, bad though it is the better of the sequels, because it still just about does that. It doesn't. I mean, it's a police procedural set in the future of '97, and it's all a bit wacky and silly, but it's like it's still kind of got the human characters at its heart, even though it does go into silly territory. Whereas I just feel something like Predators, and it's all about fucking super predators and the Predator.
It still doesn't give you too much, I feel. I think Predators gives you more, but not too much more, because it's not. What I don't want is one of the characters fucking giving off a 5-minute monologue about Youngster Prime or anything like that. It's just like there's a civil war between the species and blah blah blah.
Yeah, but even that is too much. And there's different, and you can clearly see them rubbing their hands together like flies, like going like, oh, and now we've created super predators. So now there's going to be a whole thing about fucking these are the big dick predators. These are the predators with 5 assholes.
2 melons or whatever.
It's just like, well,
volcano mission predator, etc.
Yeah, which was a thing, and I had that predator. I had that volcano predator.
Amazing.
It was red, and obviously, anyway, well, lava predator. But that to me is like, we've already gone into the wrong. That's bad territory. That's not where we're.
And
then of course,
the apple falling far from the tree, isn't it?
Very much so. And then the Predator, which is that just shows to me that like Shane Black,
Well, I don't know though. I don't know how much Fox messed with it, because it felt butchered. I will say it was so bad that I don't conceive there's anything particularly good in it to be messed with. I don't know. But I'm walking back the cushion thing.
A lot of the sort of the jokes and the characters and all that. At some point, Shane Black has to take responsibility for that.
I feel sorry for Fred Decker as well, because that was RoboCop 3 ruined his career.
Yeah,
and then he came back and helped ruin another beloved franchise. Ruin is strong. I kind of think, again, this is the thing. I just get annoyed with this. It feels like it was the only film ever made sometimes, the way people go on about it, and particularly on the internet. And I just wonder what the root of that is. I don't know what it is. There is some alchemy within Predator.
I suppose it's that perfect blend of it's the cultural touchstone for a certain generation of people who had that. There was that film that was cool and actiony, but also had it's like Commando with an alien in it in a way. I mean,
it's the ultimate playground film.
Yeah,
because this is I remember just the absolute worship of this movie, like the absolute worship of it among kids, and I perhaps a big factor of it is nostalgia. And the thing is, what I hate, it really annoys me when people kind of go, you like that just because of nostalgia. And I don't think that's fair, because I don't think, some things people do just like out of nostalgia. But Predator is a very well-made film, like very good script, and John McTiernan is a great director of action, fantastic ensemble cast. And that's what I mean. I think there's an element of lightning in a bottle with the first one, and I think there is a kind of alchemy to it.
It's much in the same way that we sort of talked about the Terminator franchise. God, I hate using that word. as being emblematic of how filmmaking went and became more cynical over the years. I think Predator, in a way, is emblematic of how nostalgic cynicism has crept into filmmaking. And when you look at the Predator now, it's so hollowed out and it's so preoccupied with nostalgia, it misses so much. And the perfect example is what we were talking about just off camera, where you've got, we've captured one, and here's in the lab, and here's a file on all of it, and there's pictures. First, it came in the jungle, and there's literally a still from the first film. Which, when you actually look at the film, it's when Arnold's covered in mud and he's looking at the Predator, and it's like looking around for him. And it's like, where was who? What? Like, no one took that photo.
Yeah, there's a guy with the fucking 600mm lens just hanging
it's like
out.
There was a wildlife photographer somewhere up in that.
He presumably got away before he got nuclear bombed.
Yeah, I guess.
I think that was reshoot stuff that feels like pandering from a studio level.
Whatever. But my point being about nostalgic film is like they're trying to inject nostalgia, and then they come up with the Predator 2 one is him climbing up the. It's not the Empire State Building,
Where it was in LA.
Yeah, and again, who took that photo? But moreover, the timestamp on it says 1990 because some stupid twat who put that. Yeah, sorry, I shouldn't talk like that. But it's like the art department or whatever, when that was made in 1990 and just slapped it on the thing, and no one checked. It was set in 97.
It's so bad, man. It's just like that Terminator 3 thing, similar territory of when John Connor gets the years and his age wrong.
Yeah,
it's like, did you watch the other?
I know, but that's my point. It's like they're so preoccupied with being wink wink fan service that they miss that because they clearly don't get it themselves.
But the Predator was a license to print money that they somehow fucked up. And it's like that was a license to print money. You could have fucking been rolling in it off the back of that. It makes you wonder what Disney are going to do. But again, the root of it for me is like, why is it such an obsession? Because again, there are just endless things, and I know we've done it, but I hope we've explained why. And one of the earliest things I did on YouTube was a Predator commentary and stuff. So I'm not saying we don't make content on it, but it does well for us cynically, and I'm sorry to say that. But it's again. It's this thing. It's insanely monolithic. You would think, and I wonder if it's rooted in nostalgia. I mean, it is a good movie, great movie, in fact. And then it's really it's very emblematic of despite being timeless, it's very emblematic of a time and place. Like you said at the kind of top of the video, it's this kind of emblematic of the kind of 80s action sort of cinema. It doesn't really, even the music at the beginning is a little Richard. It's not even got fucking 80s music.
Yeah,
it's got sort of Alan Silvestri orchestral score and everything. I just find it so hard to unpick. And again, it worked well once. And if you're fucking just sat down for 10 minutes reading out the Wikipedia of where he fucking got his little fucking jockstrap. It's like gifted to him. And on the third moon of the Blood Festival on Yalta, he was gifted. And there's a whole book about it. And it's just like, fucking Jesus, man. It just looks cool, boss. So that is.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's that thing. If you stop the average man or woman in the street and say Predator, right, guys, and they go, get to the chopper in the best Arnold impression, and it's like, why do people quote that? Why does he quote that? I mean, why does he quote that? He goes out. He goes out in front of him and goes, "Get to the chopper," and everyone goes.
I find it funny how he rose above that for a really long time.
Yeah,
and then when things weren't looking so rosy, you can't stop him from saying "Get to the chopper." I tell you what, though.
Why that quote though?
Since you mentioned that quote though, because that's what's interesting. I remember on the playground, for whatever reason, that was the one. It was "Get to the chopper," and everyone. And when I was working in catering, in my 20s, it was just tons of other in the hospitality industry. So huge bias towards men in kitchens. I don't know why. It seems to be a male-dominated profession.
Yeah.
Don't know why. Just kind of is. Not in front of house, but back of house.
Yeah.
And it was always sort of lads of the same age. So we're all sort of 23. And we'd just shout across the kitchen, "Get to the chopper!" And then someone else would be like, "Stick around!" And everybody just knew. And for whatever
it's the collective experience, I suppose, is what it comes down to. And I suppose because we were of a generation that didn't see it in the cinema, we're the ones who were discovering it like naughty, grotty little boys on VHS afterwards.
Living your best life.
Exactly. I think that's what it is. It's that fact that we discovered it privately, and now because of the internet, that collective groundswell has kind of come out, so we can all go, right, and it's
the world's biggest playground, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's just, but it's like, you know, now people can literally, and I use the word literally unironically, like make a career out of whipping up all this bullshit about where he got his fucking dreadlock rings from and what they mean. It's like, no, that was just a design that Stan Winston.
Just like, what does it add?
No, yeah.
What does
it takes away. It subtracts. It's not, and that's what I mean. And all the subsequent films have all just eaten away.
A kind of interesting sidebar to this is, Vin Diesel's Riddick situation. So David Toohey made Pitch Black. Have you seen Pitch Black?
Bits of it.
It's a cool movie.
Yeah.
It's a cool movie. It's a cool kind of one and done.
Yeah, it's got an indie vibe
horror.
about it, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's got kind of indie vibe. It's kind of sci-fi horror. I haven't seen. So there's Pitch Black. There's Chronicles of Riddick, and then there's Riddick. Yeah. And I haven't seen Riddick. I've seen Chronicles of Riddick. So kind of, it's your sort of bottle episode. You know, it's aliens. It's alien. It's a bunch of stuff. And the main character, well, not the main character. The main character is what's her name, the Australian actress from Silent Hill. Spoilers for Pitch Black. They reshot the ending so she dies instead of him, right? So he plays a kind of mysterious convict guy who can see in the dark with special eyes.
Yeah.
Right? And that's that. But then, because it did well, they got all these ideas and they made a film called The Chronicles of Riddick, and it kind of pulls out of, and kind of, it's similar to Predator 2 kind of, in that it kind of pulled the scope out from, because they're abandoned on an alien planet, and then it pulls the scope out and it's like, oh, by the way, this actually takes place in this insanely vast futuristic fantasy universe. And Riddick, he's not just a guy, he's the last survivor of this race called the Furians, and he's got these powers. It's fucking dog shit. It's just absolute garbage. It's got these insanely inflated ideas about this character and his place in the universe. And it's just not that interesting. He's got kind of like shine eyes or something. He's got like eye implants in the dark. There was the video game spin-off, Butcher Bay, is supposed to be really good. I haven't played it. And the third film, Riddick, I believe, because they kind of inflated it up with Chronicles of Riddick, which was a huge failure. And then they did Riddick, which brings it back down. From what I've read of the synopsis of Riddick, it seems to just be a remake of Pitch Black.
Right.
I view it as the same thing. Predator's had more kind of life, but like that character is cool, but it's not that interesting. I mean, if you did, for example, do you know what it is? He's like Snake Plissken. He's a kind of cool, mysterious character, but I don't think we got anything to gain from finding out that fucking, I don't know, Snake Plissken is actually from the Plantagenet dynasty and he's the lost kind of son, and you know what I mean? What would that
yeah. I mean, it's alien as well. It's it's all that once you start, it's production design. This is what people don't get. It's just like, no, there must be more. It's like, no, this was they chose a nutter surrealist Austrian guy.
Pain.
To do his big pain, this monster, and that's but it worked. But again, internal logic. Everything looks like it. Even every little valve and fucking tube on the. It's like it has a purpose because it's been designed by someone who's put things there purposefully. But it's not for us to fucking have a reason. What, you know what I mean? It just doesn't matter. It goes
blackout fell again.
Yeah, fuck it. After hours. How the space jockey got his groove back isn't interesting. It's
kind of what works with Alien. I think Aliens pulls it off in spite of itself because it's the same problem. Because Aliens doesn't tell you much more. All you learn is about the life cycle of the creature, and there's going to be a big punch up. Yeah. There's not much more to it, and then kind of.
But it focuses on something else. It tells another human story.
Yeah, because it's about motherhood and so on. It's not about how the aliens were created by an android called David who set out to. Because that's the great thing about using that as an example is that
never working with Ridley Scott.
Yeah. Well, the Aliens is a great example because it managed to avoid those big questions, and it wasn't looking great, but then it took those big questions head on. Yeah. And it's just not very interesting, and it demystifies it, and it sucks everything out of it. And I think it's the same with Predator. Like they've been kind of kid gloves of the Predator mythology in the films until recently, where they've sort of now it's super predators and they're trying to steal autism or whatever. Well, but it's the books and shit that do all that.
That's another thing people don't get. Is just like the playground chat is actually what is what you like. So I guess that's why there is plenty grist for that mill on YouTube. But as soon as a filmmaker definitively says, no, actually it's this, like the whole, they take spines not because they're trophies, but because they're trying to make autism,
trying to steal Asperger's, like,
or whatever. Like,
which, by the way, I know people with Asperger's, and
Me too.
I find that deeply patronising to go, the thing you have to live with is a superpower. Don't fucking patronise.
No,
people
yeah, no,
like
no,
that,
no,
man.
no,
I think
but-
it comes from a good place, but it's like,
does it? Because actually it's through that really cynical Shane Black. I mean, it's one thing to sort of make pussy jokes, but to fucking say that, oh, like, you know, here he is, he's a savant. It confuses what Asperger's really is and what autism really is, and it's like, he's just clever. It's that Hollywood, Hollywood autism, where it's like you're just a genius at everything. And it's like he's scared to make eye contact with people all the time, but when he blows someone up and destroys their house, he's sort of fine.
yeah. I give it credit in that I think it's trying to empower and enable people with autism through that message. But the reality of that is no. I think that's the intention. So
Okay, fair
I
enough.
don't think the intention is Shane Black going like people with autism are dickheads.
No,
like,
but-
no one's saying that. It's just handled in such. It's just a bungled concept.
Yeah.
That I just find.
So what's that doing in a Predator movie as well? It's like, what Space Hunters?
Well, that's what I mean. Because is that the best they could come up with? Because what?
Well, because
what do you
really, all you
Like-
can do is make Predators. And
yeah,
that's what I mean. You know,
that's the
again.
reason I like Predators. It's kind of like, okay, here's a new group of people and the same shit happens, essentially with a bit more colour. Like,
Yeah.
I don't love it, but I like it. It's fun and it's not very long.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
It's-
hey.
yeah. There's less of it, I suppose. in your
Yeah,
case.
yeah.
But there's, the best you can hope to do is just fucking go back to the well again. And again, adding this stuff, it doesn't really give anything more. And so what if he's got a fucking different jockstrap or whatever? Like, like.
I know. I mean, I suppose.
Sorry, quick time check. Oh, we got loads of time.
Yeah, loud time.
It might run into two parts like before. It might not. Who knows? Who knows? We got time today.
Is it? Do you? I mean, not that it matters, but would you separate the Alien versus Predator stuff off from the just Predator stuff? I know the Predator obviously references Alien versus Predator slightly.
Does it?
Well, yeah, because it's got the Lex's spear that's made from an alien tail is in one of the.
Is it?
Cabinet. Yeah, you didn't know.
I heard a bunch of the continuity tie-ups are Fox
Yeah.
rather than Chirac. I mean, it's. I mean, because this is the thing. That whole thing's a fucking mess now, anyway, isn't it? Because you've got how many different? Because you've got Bishop in the first episode.
Yeah. And the Bishop.
But then, and Bishop. But then you've got the David androids are seemingly the first androids.
Apparently, the timeline works between Charles Bishop Wayland, who's the who set up the Wayland Corp, and Peter Wayland, who's Guy Pearce. Apparently, there's some tie up, and I don't know if it's ancillary material, so forgive me. I think it's to do with the clips that were released online before Prometheus.
Hello,
came
darkness, my old friend.
out. Sad Affleck.
Yeah, there's
but there's a thing that there's something to do with like Charles Bishop Wayland died in 2004, and Peter Wayland basically went on to. He talks about the legacy he wants to leave, and basically, again in the stuff that's
is
not
that
in the
is
film,
that in the TED Talk?
yeah.
Because the TED Talk's like the best thing to come out of that.
Well, the TED Talk thing, he talks about having set up a base on the Sea of Tranquility on the moon, and that's one of the things Charles Bishop Wayland wanted to do, or set one of the goals he had before he got lung cancer or something. So it's like so there is actually a tie, like technically those two things, despite Ridley Scott obviously.
So I don't want to. I don't want to get into because that is exactly the kind of. I mean, no offense.
No,
it's
but
exactly the kind of fan wank
kind of
that
bullshit.
I get that annoys me. I'm not saying you shouldn't make those videos, but it annoys me when it masquerades as analysis.
Oh, absolutely.
And
I'm bringing
just
that up as an example of the thing I don't like.
Yeah,
I'm not bringing it up but I'm just saying that
Duncan and I have discussed this
Yeah.
many times on car journeys and shit.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like it's that kind of masquerading as analysis, and it's like, well, this is fan fiction read out. Oh well, not okay. Some of it's official media, but it's fan fiction kind of.
Yeah, and I mean, it bleeds into other franchises, other Star and War related franchises. But it's that thing of when people get uppity about how issue 5 of whatever, where Luke Skywalker or the Predator or whoever had a third dick that was all really important to the whole thing, and it's like, Why don't you just use that? Because it's not interesting. None of that's
Yeah,
compelling.
they're never going to use your fucking. It's always like, well, I think actually the next Star Wars film is going to be an adaptation of blah blah blah. And it's like it's not.
No.
It's not. I would say the kind of current incarnation of Lucasfilm are the first ones to actually start doing that. In that they wiped the canon clean.
Yeah.
And they've been cherry picking things and putting them in a different way. So like
Saul Guerrero.
Forrest Guerrero, Forrest
yeah.
Whitaker's character comes from the Clone Wars cartoon.
Yeah.
And they've done. Oh, someone's going to kill me. There's a blue alien Imperial general guy who was a really big character in the novels and stuff, and they put him in the Rebels cartoon,
right.
for example. So they're taking things,
yeah,
putting them in, which before it's just kind of unthinkable. That I don't know what's the relationship between Predator 2 and the book Concrete Jungle. Because they're real fucking similar.
Well, it's I think because originally it's supposed to be Dutch's brother, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Who's the detective and stuff. I think it's. I mean, essentially that's it. Is that it was supposed to be an LA detective sort of noir film, and it's
Did
about.
the book come first?
I think so.
Okay, because it was a comic as well. I had the novel.
Oh,
I had a pen that printed smiley faces.
Yeah.
And my copy of that just had loads of smiley faces smashed in it.
Because that was more interesting.
Yeah.
No,
Pretty much.
Yeah, because I think they wanted Schwarzenegger to come back and play his brother, right? I think.
I have no idea.
Anyway,
I have no idea. I'm sure they would have.
Sort of to investigate what happened to Dutch, and
I'm sure they would have. Well, this is the thing I said in the review. Like Predator 2 is just kind of this weird, stodgy film that just doesn't really.
Like I say, it's my favourite of the sequels, but that's not saying much because I don't think there should be any anyway. But it's just sort of one of those things where I go, well, it's stupid and it's dumb, but it's like. So's the first one in a way. It's just not set in any recognisable.
I just don't find that movie fun to watch. That's all.
No, fair enough.
We talked about. We've done an episode available now.
Yeah.
If you're into that. Yeah. I don't know. I sort of embarked upon this wanting to sort of put this to bed a little bit because again we do it for clicks. Not better than that. Not going to lie, man. It's just the way it goes. We're a small channel, but at the same time, Predator. It's one of these things. The only thing that would make me not like Predator. It's the endless swirling discussion of Predator.
Yeah,
to which we have contributed.
Well, not in the way that
twice.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing talking about the films, but then it's another thing talking like endlessly banging on about the. I mean, it's a creature. It's a fucking creature. It's like a creature from the Black Lagoon. It's like anything else. It's like, why does it look like that? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, if there was the whole fucking thing about the species of the creature from the Black Lagoon and how he was part of a legacy of an honor guard. Fuck off.
Oh, yeah.
Like, fuck off, mate.
Like, can't we just start... I don't understand why we're in such a fallow period of creativity as far as that stuff goes. It's like... But I think it's partly because we've just lost the mid-budget film. It's either got to be massive spectacle like The Predator, which has to have big bangs and pops. It's like the fact that film opens with that the Predator chasing the other Predator in the ship, and it's like there's a shot of him going, "Oh, I better go to this console over there," and he's like, "Bomb, bomb, bomb," and he stomps around like Harry and the Hendersons, ironically. Because he's not played by Kevin Peter Hall.
Yeah.
And it just lost. It's lit. It's starkly lit, so I can see everything. And I'm just like, why has the Predator got lighting in his ship?
You rob it of its mystery.
Why has he got lighting in his ship?
Oh, it's the same.
Why does he have lights in his fucking ship? He sees in infrared. That's fucking like, all right, I've got to change the light bulb.
This is the desks, chairs, and computer mouse situation from Terminator Salvation, where the Terminator's just hanging out on non-uniform day.
Like by the water cooler.
Oh, have you tried one of Sarah's muffins? They're really great. She baked them for comic relief. Like,
mate, it's oh.
Guess the other blackout. This is what the After Hours format's all about, baby.
The cardboard box blackout.
The cardboard box blackout.
It's. I just where was I going with that? I suppose I'm just so fucking overwrought with.
Are we done with this? We've got a minute left. We could do another half hour. Or we could stop. I'm not editing this out because that's not what this format is.
We could segue into the other thing we were going to do a long form discussion on.
That's so mysterious. We've said it to the audience now. Okay, fuck it. We'll do that.
Yeah.
We have received criticism in this format for just me fading out and no explanation. This is now over.
Just do it.
We're going to go to another... The next After Hours will be recorded immediately after this, and we're going to talk about nostalgia in film. So there you go. Bye!
Support your 7th or 8th favourite YouTube channel by buying crap, tat, junk, hogwash and filth at redbubble.com/people/Val Verde Shop.